3, 2, 1. The Reality Check podcast is inbound. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Please be advised this video may contain strong language and adult themes.
Hello guys, and welcome back to episode number 2 of the Reality Check podcast. Now today, we've got another special guest from the rugby world. We have World Cup superstar, Mr. Sam Matavesi. Sam, how are you?
Not too bad, thank you. I don't know what superstar.
I think you're a superstar in my eyes, buddy. So we've got Sam on today. We're going to have a quick chat about rugby, some other interests, a bit of Navy chat, because I don't know if one of your followers know you're in the Navy as well.
Yes.
So yeah, let's crack on. So obviously, firstly, how are you handling everything with this whole lockdown?
Yeah, all right, to be fair. It's tough, isn't it? It's tough in those in perspective of, you know, people being on the front line and actually. Sorry, I just get a point of water for my lovely wife. Thank you. It's different. I think it's how you adapt to that. I think the biggest thing currently is usually, you know, playing rugby full time. You're very active throughout the whole week, if that makes sense. And I think about a couple of weeks ago, we was like probably 4 or 3 weeks in, I found not having the routine of doing the same thing every day quite not. I don't know if it off-put me or if that makes sense, but it just felt a bit out of scope. If you know what I mean. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's just a weird one, isn't it? I think you'd never really think that in real life this would happen, where you can't leave your house unless you're going to the shops or doing exercise. Like, it's something you see in films, but you never really think it actually happened.
No, 100%.
But how are you coping with things? What are you doing to fill the time?
So before we sort of were told, you know, we can't train, play, etc. We got given some kit from a club, like, you know, barbell, weights, dumbbells, etc. And we've been constantly given a program every week. So every Sunday, you know, we get a new program. We get a FaceTime with the S&C coach in Northampton. Nice. And we just pretty much, we just get told what to do. To be fair,
so lots of working out.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, we're in Trevellis in St Agnes, Perranporth area, and you know it's helped having the nice weather. You know, having like beaches and, you know, easy surroundings to work out in.
Definitely, we're definitely. I think we're definitely lucky to be in the environment we are. I mean, like you said, the beach is on our doorstep. Whereas I'd hate to be in a city now where you can't do anything. So we're definitely fortunate there. But I mean, we've got to hope that it passes through and we go back to normality soon.
No, I totally agree with you.
Perfect. I mean, okay. So moving on in terms of, like I said, you're a professional rugby player, currently playing for Northampton. So if we take it back to the very start of your rugby career. You started at Camborne, is that right? Yeah,
so I started at Camborne when I was 4.
4 years old.
4 years old.
Okay.
So I went down on a Sunday and I used to watch Josh first. So he used to play, and my auntie used to coach. My auntie Debbie.
Okay, so Josh, your brother Josh, yeah.
Yeah, so he would be there every Sunday. At first, I wasn't too interested, and then just watching him, you know, I got involved, and I was at Camborne from 4 until 16, 17.
Okay, so what level did you get up to playing for Camborne?
We won the Western Counties, and I want to say the old Southwest one.
Okay.
South Division 1. Yeah.
Perfect. So then, obviously you're a local lad, so was Camborne obviously the kind of footstep to get to the next level? Yeah,
I think this is very early on. This is when the academy system wasn't massive.
Yeah.
You know, there weren't, you know, everyone literally played for where they were from, or, you know, or nearest to, if that makes sense. So yeah, as I'm a very proud Camborne man, I was playing for Camborne.
Nice. Okay, so then after Camborne, was it Plymouth?
Yeah, I went to Exeter for a little bit. Okay. And then I went down to, this is when Exeter were just starting.
Yeah.
And then I went down to Plymouth for, like the next 4 years, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, okay.
And that was it was a great time, because you're very much, you know, 17, 18, you're playing rugby professionally, not earning great money, but you know, you can live, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you sort of think you sort of think, you know, everything's there, you know, it's done, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that was at 17, and you know, I played in the championship for Plymouth, I played in National 1 for Plymouth, and overall I had a great time, and I learned some valuable like life lessons and lessons in general, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Would I change some of it? Probably yes.
Okay.
But I think that's life, if I'm honest.
Definitely, it's a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was amazing. But I think, being that age and sort of like just being chucked into, it's not a big city, but it's a lot bigger in Cornwall and Campbell.
Yeah, definitely. Sense. Yeah, it's a step up, isn't it?
And you're 17, 18, you think you've already made it when you've played one game in the championship.
Yeah. You think you're big time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think not everyone goes through it, but there's definitely different levels. And I thought, back then that I was not a bad rugby player, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I was far too immature, unexperienced.
Okay.
And I sort of, I probably thought I was a bit better than I was at that time, if that makes sense. So you sort of, I'd say I wasted a few years, if I'm honest, in terms of working hard.
So if you could do it again, you'd probably put a bit more graft in the early years.
Oh, 150%.
Too much time partying.
Yeah, it's a bit of partying, a bit of like, you sort of get used to not living the life, but sort of enjoying the life where you finish at 1:30, in the afternoon, 2 o'clock, and you literally you're on your PS4, 3 back then, or 2.
Yeah.
And literally not doing a lot, if you know what I mean. Not using the time to
you could put your time to better use, probably.
No, yeah, massively. And I think, like, looking forward now, I sort of wish I joined the Navy at 16, or or I got a trade first, or a degree, or went to university. All those amazing things that people say you should do.
Yeah, definitely.
When you're a few years on, you don't really realise it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you mentioned the Navy there. Did you move to Pirates? Because Cornish Pirates was the next move, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I had a bit of a flicker. So was it Plymouth, and then I come back to Campbell like 2 years after. So I wasn't getting any games, and I was a bit bored, if I'm honest. And I came back to Campbell for a year or like half a season, and then my older brother was playing in Racing Metro. In Paris.
Yeah.
And he came back for like Christmas for a week, and he was like, "Look, I've had a chat to the coach. Why don't you come out with me?" And I was like,
"Okay,
I've got nothing left. Not nothing left, but I've got nothing to sort of do here."
Yeah.
So I packed the bag, threw it in his car, and I went over with him and his wife to Paris.
Wow.
And I spent a good maybe 4 to 6 months in Paris.
Okay.
Just every day training, like. That was a massive experience.
Yeah, I bet. So you were training? You were training with his team, were you?
Yeah, so I was training with Racing Metro. So I've gone from like literally playing in Western Counties of South West 1 to like a couple of weeks later, like walking past Chabal and all these top stars. That makes sense.
Wow.
I wasn't like part of the club. I didn't play, but just to train every day and be part of
I think
sort of environment was
and
special.
Being like surrounded by those kind of top class professionals, I bet that definitely helped you at your game.
Yeah, and I think just experiencing, so like it's a bit similar to when I went to France recently. You don't understand it, you used to watch it.
Yeah. Like
sort of see what's going on and then get involved. You sort of learn quite quickly if you.
I bet.
I mean.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so obviously you were in. How was Paris as a city to live for the first time?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like we literally get from training, we go in, get changed, have some food, and we'll be out in the evening, into Paris, Eiffel Tower, all those sort of crazy things. It was awesome experience.
Perfect. And then so you said 6 months came to an end in France. What happened after that?
Yeah, so it was a bit like. Josh moved back to England, and like there wasn't anything from there. So then I came back to Campbell, I think, and I went back to Plymouth at the end of that season. And then I think I went back to Plymouth for the next 2 years.
Yep.
And then I found out my missus was pregnant.
Okay.
And I've been playing like professional rugby in the terms of the championship for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I could do this for another 4 or 5 years, unless that's what I need to sort of thinking of what I can do, what I want to do, etc. And I looked at loads of things, but I had a good look at the Navy, and I think it's just what it offers and what you can do, and
Definitely.
sport is obviously massive in the Navy.
Yeah.
And it's a job, but it isn't like it's not like an 8 till 4 or like a, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I pretty much put rugby on hold, and I was like,
what age were you at this time? Sorry.
24.
24. Okay.
So I was like, so you see people that, like, not, I wouldn't say it's old now, but I was like, whatever comes rugby will come. So then I literally was like, I was going to sign for Albion, and they were like, we don't want you if you're going to go halfway through the year. So I was going to start basic training. And then I said, okay, whatever. So I went and signed for a Droof under Mr. Nonu, Palapo Nonu.
Oh, yeah.
And I had an amazing time at Droof for a few months. And then that was after, sorry. So I was at Camborne.
Right, okay.
I went back to Camborne under Liam Chappell, who's still a coach in Camborne now, top bloke. And then played for Camborne for a little bit. Just after Christmas, went and did my basic training in the Navy for 10 weeks. It was actually, I think it was 24 weeks overall. Okay. And then I got posted down at Coldrose. Yeah. And then that's when I was playing for a Droof. I would on a Tuesday and Thursday train and play on a Saturday. Yeah. And then just before Christmas in November, I had a call from Alan Paver at the Pirates. Okay. Yeah. It was so very random, and I was a bit like, I was like, what's going on here? And he was like, look, mate, we are struggling for hookers. And bearing in mind, I haven't played hooker for the last 4 years properly. I've never played hooker properly. Yeah. And I was like, I'd love to do it, but I don't think I can because I've just joined the Navy. It isn't like they should let me play rugby, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I went and spoke to my bosses. I should mention Dean Jones, Sean McKenzie, and Adam Gallatley, who are all Cornish, local. Yeah. And they were like, we've got enough manpower in Coldrose. We're pretty quiet. We don't see why you can't, explore it for a few days a week. So I'd work 3 days a week and train twice a week. Okay. And it just worked. I think what helped me is I got like, the Pirates were in serious trouble in the hooker department. When I went down there, and my first game against Jersey, it was at home. Yeah. And I come on at half time, and I must have missed 6 lineouts. I lost us the game, and I thought that was it. I was like, nah. I was like, that's me done now. Yeah. So I went back in Monday morning, and I thought I'm getting the sack before I've even started. And then I think what saved me was they were unbelievable. I think they understood that I just moved that position. I was learning quite quickly, and the biggest thing for me, they actually backed me. Like, it's fine. We'll keep working. We'll keep moving on. And then it just worked out from there, if I'm honest. And then the following year, they offered me a contract. I was still drafted to Coldrose. They were happy with it. It still wasn't full time, but it was like 3.5 days a week. Yeah. And I'd work the other bit whilst I was still like doing all the duties and stuff. Yeah. And then, like, out of the blue, I had another full pre-season with the Pirates, and then I started the year until Christmas, and I got back in the Fiji mix. Sick. If that makes sense. Yeah, and that was, I had a bit of chat, but it was still quite early on. Yeah. I wasn't really expecting it, and then I got on the tour. I started against Scotland and France, and we luckily beat France in November 2018. Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah, and it was lucky because it was on the eve. It's on the eve of the World Cup. The World Cup's a year later. Now, if you asked me in 2015 would I be playing in a World Cup in 4 years' time, I'd have laughed at you. Yeah. Literally would have laughed at you. I can remember me and Joel, some friends from Campbell, Paul Menke and David Menke, went and watched the opening ceremony game, England-Fiji in 2015. Okay. Yeah. So it was a Friday night, yeah. So we got up on the Friday in the day, had a few beers, watched Josh play. Yeah. And my older brother just played a opening World Cup, and the next day I was playing for Camborne in South West One. Wow. And then I wish I was there. Yeah, but then 4 years on, I'm at a World Cup with Fiji. So it can happen, if that makes sense. Yeah, because obviously, so prior to, because obviously you played for Pirates for a few years, like you said, in the National League, and then you got that move to Toulouse. Yeah, Toulouse. Sorry, was that prior to the World Cup? Yes, that was bizarre. Yeah, it was an experience of a lifetime. So yet again, a lot of people had to sort of work their magic. So the Navy, the Pirates, and Toulouse all had to sort of come together and agree it. And I think, at the stage it was, if they can spare me, and for the Navy definitely, they could. The Pirates were at the time struggling for hookers.
Okay.
And they still let me go, which I think speaks it speaks massive about Alan Paver, Gavin Kettle, Chris Morgan, and everyone down there. And I think they sort of understood that it's something not many players had that chance of experiencing.
It's a big opportunity, isn't it? Because they're a massive club.
They're not yet. They're humongous.
So what was your reaction when? So did they approach you directly? Did they say, "Look, we need"?
Yeah. So I think the same thing. They had a bit of a terrible one. Julien Marchand, who's their captain, he got injured in the Six Nations. So he's a French hooker.
Yeah.
And they had the Italian legend Leonardo Chiodini.
Okay.
So he's got like 90 caps for Italy, I think.
Yeah.
He done his ACL also in that same Six Nations.
Okay.
So they were literally quickly without their starting hookers.
Yeah.
So they had to bring up one from the academy and one from somewhere else. And I came in as well, because you sort of need 3 hookers minimum, if that makes sense. And I've literally...
That must have been mad.
It's crazy. So I played for the Navy against the RAF on the Friday night, and then I went and signed for Toulouse on the Saturday.
Wow. I remember the news breaking, and I just saw like a news article, and I was like, that's mad. Because obviously, I'm aware, I'm a rugby fan, I know how much a bigger club they are. Like, and to see like a local Cornish boy sign for them was like huge. Like, I bet that must have been a mental feeling.
Oh, it's surreal. I think if I'm totally honest, it's quite weird because I've watched Josh do all these amazing things. I'm not jealous. I don't regard it. It's incredible, but you sort of think you're in a bit of a massive dream, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is no disrespect to anyone in the Navy or at the Pirates, but you walk into a change room and you've got World Cup winners, like you got South Africans, New Zealand, Kiwis, Australians, and you probably got about 12 French players that have played for France.
Yeah.
And then then there's me.
Then there was you. That's mad though. Like that was so cool. Because you weren't, because it was emergency cover, so you weren't there for that long, were you?
No, it was it's a shame. It wasn't a shame. It was quite caught on tight, because I sort of when I went there, I went straight in and I played 2 games straight away off the bench, and I went quite well. And then I had to come back for the Army Navy game. Okay. So that sort of put you out another week, and then I think I missed another game for something. Yeah. So especially with coaches, like I sort of knew then. So I played 4 games overall. Yeah. But Toulouse ended up getting to the final and winning the final at Stade de France.
Really?
And I finished with a open top bus parade in Toulouse with tens of thousands of people.
How was
that?
And
it's a mixture of 2 feelings, because like I absolutely loved the experience, but I was a bit like I was a bit like John Terry in the final of the Champions League. And to be fair, I was probably a bit less than that, because John Terry's had a massive impact on Chelsea. Yeah. And I played 4 games for Toulouse. So is it like you're sort of part of it, but you're not?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and I missed so many things. I missed my brother's stag do, I missed my brother's wedding, all because I think. And then when I went to after that, I went to the World Cup, I missed more. You miss everything, but it's a price you pay.
Definitely. I mean, it's a big commitment, isn't it? Like being any kind of professional sportsman, you gotta kind of sacrifice these things.
It's tough. I think as well, like especially in this environment now, you sort of realise how selfish you are, and you have to be. And that sounds quite bad, but you need to be quite selfish if you want to get somewhere in.
Definitely. I mean, you've got like there's an element of putting yourself first, isn't there? Like if you want to, at the end of the day, if you want to get to the top, you've got to put yourself first in certain situations. And I think when you look back on those things, you'll think, it was worth missing like the odd thing to get to where you are now. Cool. So I mean, obviously you were then that was previous to the World Cup. So obviously the World Cup was massive for you.
Yeah.
When did you get the call up? When did you know you were in the squad?
So what happens is they sort of every team does it differently. So Fiji picked, I think, 50 odd players.
Okay.
And we played 6 games before the World Cup.
Right.
So what happened? Yeah. So I've finished the top 14 final. We had a few days having a few beers with the boys in France, and I was like, I need to go. I literally had 6 days back in Cornwall.
Yeah.
And then me and Josh flew to Fiji for 4 months.
Wow, that's mad.
So I was probably away for like 6-7 months of the year.
Mental.
How I'm still married is beyond me.
Lily puts up with it.
So Shasta.
So I mean, obviously that's the fact that you went to the World Cup is one thing, but I mean the fact you went with your brother must have been like even more of a surreal experience.
Yeah, it was. So we literally, what happened? I think we're quite lucky in 2 regards where we experienced. The experience was special. I'll get onto that. So we flew to Fiji, me and Josh. We literally had like 2 or 3 days to get used to the weather, timings, etc. Then we had 2 weeks of flat out training before the first game, which is quite lucky because you can obviously get beasted in 2 weeks, but it isn't like a long pre-season. So then we literally we played New Zealand Maori at home, New Zealand Maori away, Japan, Canada, Samoa, Tonga, a week off into the World Cup.
That's mental. Like, how did you?
So we played New Zealand at home, then we played New Zealand away in New Zealand. Then we played Japan in Japan straight after the second game.
Yeah.
Then we came back to Fiji and played Canada and Fiji. Then we played Samoa in Fiji.
Wow.
Then we flew to Auckland to play Tonga, and then flew back to Fiji. Had a week in Fiji, and we flew to Japan for the World Cup.
That's like, what's all that flying like? That must be crazy. Like, is it not just like exhausting, or are you just kind of caught up in the fact that you're on a World Cup pre-tour?
Yeah, it's a bit like that because like when you say it now, you think like that's quite a lot, and it was. But yeah, you sort of just get used to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I bet. Just kind of caught up in it all.
Yeah.
Perfect. And obviously you get to the World Cup, like the biggest thing in rugby you can play in.
4 games.
4 games.
So we played Australia, Uruguay, Georgia, Wales.
Yes. Okay. Cool. You had a good. Was it you beat Georgia, didn't you? And then I remember watching. I was in the office at work watching the Wales game because that was a close game, wasn't it?
We pushed Australia and Wales very closely.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it shows what we can do, but we need to work harder, obviously. But then we lost to Uruguay. That was tough to take.
I bet that was hard because obviously you were. I mean, Uruguay in terms of rugby, a much smaller nation than you. So I mean, what was the kind of atmosphere like after that defeat?
Quite tough, if I'm honest, because Josh took a lot of criticism, a lot of shit. Sorry, I'm going to say shit. And it was like it was tough to see because if you're a kicker, in the team and it doesn't go well, a lot of things didn't go well in that game. I think if I'm honest, what hurts me personally the most is I think we were beat on emotion more than anything.
Okay.
So it sounds bad, but no disrespect to Uruguay, I think we're the better rugby players, but they beat us because they wanted it more. Do you think you underestimated them? Yeah, 100%. Like I think it sounds bad, but if you're playing Australia, you know what you're going to get. If you're playing Wales, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And it's quite easy to analyse those teams because they play so much.
Yeah.
And like that's no disrespect to Uruguay or anyone else, to be fair. But I just think we put so much effort and like it's quite like a cliche thing. We put like Australia was like our Everest. We had total belief we could beat them, and then when you put like literally you put everything that you've worked on for 2 or 3 months into that one game, it doesn't come off, and you sort of come back down again. Yeah. And then we had to fly the next morning at like 5 in the morning. I'm not making excuses. Then we went really far north to Kamashi to play the game, and we had like a 3 or 4 day turnaround. Like boys are sore, tired, and they just beat us because they wanted it more, and that's what hurts the most. Like now, if that makes sense. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said there, obviously, the matches are one thing, but I mean, what was the kind of camp like? Were you like in a Fiji hotel? Yeah, no, it's the place is incredible. The people are unbelievable. Yeah, the facilities, like, it's quite weird. Like, I'm not gonna 100% say how it works, but we played Australia in Sapporo.
Okay.
It's quite a large city, or as I say, but as we're a tier 2 nation, Australia get the first call on hotels, training pitches, because they're a tier 1 nation.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's true. So even if we went to Sapporo to play, we have to get, like, I think training was like 15 minutes away.
Really?
It's pointless because you're training twice a day, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you sort of wake up, if you go to the training venue, you do your weights, then you come back for lunch and you go back in the afternoon. So you're wasting 4 hours on the bus.
Yeah.
We decided to stay somewhere else in our pre-World Cup camp, and then we flew in to play Australia on the Thursday. So we flew in Thursday, Friday we had team run, Saturday we played, Sunday morning we were gone again. And that's what it's like, if I'm honest. I think so. I had my uncle come out, Rolo, quite a few friends come out, Notman come out, Tom Knotts.
Oh yeah.
So he came out, and I think if you're a fan, you can sort of immerse yourself and you can live everything. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
When you when you're playing, you get to a hotel or a new training pitch, you see a gym, and that's probably it. And then you get one day off a week. And by that time, you don't really want to go out and look at the sights, and because you're just a bit tired, if that makes sense.
I feel like, as a fan or someone watching the sport, you obviously don't take into account the kind of travelling that's involved, the training you do as well. Obviously, you play matches, but then, like you said, you don't kind of think about the kind of travelling and all of that stuff as well.
Yeah. It wasn't tough. It was like it was just like. It's not a lot.
I bet it's just full on, wasn't it? Just full on.
Yeah, it is. And then it's like anything, if you have 4 months of the same thing. So on a Monday you're learning, on a Tuesday you're training quite hard. Wednesday's usually off. Thursday's quite really tough. Friday you're literally trying to put everything into place. Short session. Saturday you play. Sunday recover. Monday. You do that for 4 months. And I literally you just get in the swing of it. And if I'm honest, literally, like in that Wales week, I wasn't happy it was over, but I was quite content that we couldn't go any further, and I was quite excited to get home, if I'm honest, because it's a long time.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, especially with the pre-tour you had, it was definitely a long time away from home, away from your family, the kids and stuff.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, what was it like? Obviously, you mentioned there the Australia and Wales game. They're like two of the top teams, the top nations in the world. I mean, what was it like? Was it an obvious step up, like playing against those world-class players?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but it's weird because I'll tell you a story, because obviously that Australia game, we put so much pre-planning and so much stuff into it.
Yeah. That
it was only like the Friday or the Saturday before the game. I'm in a WhatsApp group with a few of the Ed Pascoe, Ben Priddy, the boys, Matt Bowden, Ben Fox, and they were like, Sam, you're playing David Pocock on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, yeah, I am actually. Do you know what I mean? And then for the last 10 years, I've been watching him on TV, like the rest of them. But it goes. You don't really think there's so much going on and so much to sort of focus on, and I've got to get my job right, and there's does that make sense? There's such finer detail in things that you need to do. You don't care really who's.
Don't really think about it.
No, you don't. No.
I guess that's probably the best way to go about it, because if you think about obviously it's quite cliche when the managers tell you don't worry about the opposition, focus on yourself. I guess that's kind of still relevant when you're playing the best players in the world. Oh
no, of course. I think you have to watch so rugby nowadays, you do a lot of analysis, a lot of watching your own training, and obviously who you're playing, the up and coming week. So Australia, unbelievable team, but as it showed in the game, we can unlock teams and quite comfortably with the firepower we have.
Yeah.
So it was just trying to remember and execute everything that we had planned, if that makes sense. And it's so much in your head. It's so your sole focus is on that job.
Yeah.
You're not really fussed who's coming against you.
Yeah. That's fair enough, mate. No worries. I mean, obviously, then after the World Cup finished, like you said, you obviously left the group stage. Was it just a fact of flying back to England, and then was it downtime?
Yeah. So it was quite rushed, actually. So if you remember, there was a tornado or something.
In Japan.
In Japan, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a tornado.
We played Wales, then we were supposed to stay in that same place for the next 3 or 4 days before we flew out.
Yeah.
Now, 90% of the boys are going back to Fiji. Some boys are going back to Europe. Some back to New Zealand. And me and Josh are coming back to England, to Cornwall.
Yeah.
So we got a chance to get out, I think 2 or 3 days after that. So we met some friends and family after the game.
Yeah.
Had something to eat, a few beers. Then we sort of had we travelled the next day to Tokyo.
Okay.
And then me and Josh left the following day.
Sweet. Okay. And then obviously you came home, and there was obviously I saw in the news a bit of a sad story, because you came back with all your kit, your Fiji kit, your playing kit, and then there was obviously this story about, was it your car got broken into, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we literally obviously got back, and then obviously the first thing, like with the missus, I haven't seen her in 6 months, so she was like, pick up from Heathrow. My in-laws had the kids, and then it was like, we got a nice hotel, and we had like a weekend together before we come back to Cornwall, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I literally landed, I've gone on to booking.com, booked like quite a nice hotel in Shoreditch.
Yeah.
Never been there before, no. So it's like, okay, that's done. So obviously seen the wife, got in the car, drove from Heathrow to Shoreditch. It was like about 6:30 in the evening then, so it was quite late, so it was quite busy.
Yeah.
So we got outside the hotel. And obviously, being a Camel boy, if usually a hotel there's parking.
Yeah.
We got to the hotel, there's no parking, and
right.
I was like, oh. So we called the reception. They were like, "There's a car park 5 minutes away." I was like, "Yeah, happy days." We got there, and it was like £100 or £80 for the day.
Really?
And I was like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
But it was late. I just been on a plane for 20 odd hours, and I was like, oh, "I'm done now." So I was like, "We'll pay it, and we'll deal with it." If that makes sense. So thought nothing of it. We literally, luckily, I packed so obviously, if you're away for 4 months, you accumulate a lot of kit, a lot of your own stuff, just small things. So I was quite lucky. I had a bag with laptop, all your electronic stuff, and then I packed the smaller suitcase with just something I was going to wear, so I didn't have to get everything out. Obviously, you've got massive kit bags. So we parked in a safe underground car park. We got taxi back to the hotel. Woke up, we met Lily's little sister in London, had a little look, breakfast, a bit of lunch.
Yeah.
We went back to the car park around 5, and she dropped some bags in there from shopping. And I was like, that's a bit weird. There's a bit of glass on the floor. I could see, a few people milling around. And I was like, my bags aren't in here. And Lily was like, what? I was like, my bags aren't in the car. And bear in mind, these are massive, Fiji rugby bags.
Kit bags, yeah.
Yeah, and she was like, "You're joking?" And I was like, your heart just sinks.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You just drop, and then I thought I was in a dream, if that makes sense. So we've literally gone up to Lily's called the car parking people. We've called the police. And it was like, I've searched the car park just to see if someone's you don't really know, do you?
Yeah.
And then in your head, then it's just your head just constantly thinking. And I had my World Cup shirts, cap, medal, and what I was quite lucky that I managed to sneak out the actual balls we played with, and that's something I want to give to my son.
Yeah.
So throughout the whole World Cup, you get given the same training balls, but for match day, all the balls are printed of Wales v Fiji, Australia Fiji. Yeah. So I managed to get every ball from the game.
Wow.
And deflate it and bring it back. So I was going to give them to my son, when I put on the wall.
Yeah.
All my shirts. So I give all my memorabilia, trophies, or anything, shirt, give to my dad. He puts them up, and they're his for the minute, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
And it was just I was very upset that I couldn't give that to my son or to my dad, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that must have been horrible. Obviously, you've just been through you've been to one of the biggest tournaments in the world. You've got all this kit that you should be so proud of getting to that point, and then for someone to do that, it's beyond belief, really, that some people are capable of doing that kind of thing. I mean, but do you think it was targeted? Do you think they knew it was in there, or?
Yeah, no, I don't know, because I think in the same car park about 5 or 6 cars got broken into at the same time. Okay. So I just think it was a bit of bad luck, if I'm honest.
That's horrible. I just remember seeing all over the news, because obviously you were sharing on your Instagram, and then I think the local newspapers started picking it up, and then it got onto BBC News. But
BBC News, yeah. Is this like? It's tough because it's quite how do you say? It isn't. It's not like a phone and laptop.
No, it's not
like
replaceable.
Rugby shirts and boots, and if that makes just clothes. If that makes sense. Yeah, like I'm trying to the kit isn't a problem, because rugby kit. It's the shirts and the caps and the medals that you obviously you want. And
yeah, definitely. Like I said, those things they're not replaceable. You can't replace that stuff.
No, they're not.
That's the worst thing about it.
Yeah, I think so. People are incredible. Like Fiji were very nice. They sent me a signed Fiji shirt, but like you said, it's not the shirt I wore against those teams. No, it's not the same. Because it's embroidered, the dates on it, and it's an actual shirt. That I've worn. But my goal is the next World Cup, so hopefully I can replace them.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, if you keep playing at the level you're playing at the moment, it's definitely doable. I mean, obviously, you came back, like you said, you came back from the World Cup. Then, in terms of rugby, how long was your kind of break before? I
think I had like two and a half weeks off. So okay. I left it a few days. Went back into the Pirates. It was great. Great to see the boys. Unbelievable club and unbelievable group of players. So I was itching to get back, and then I got back, and first day I got back, it was a bit like I could sort of come back, play for a few weeks, have a break at Christmas, or see how it goes. But they were like, no, you might, you need a break, have a break now. And I was like, happy days. And then during this time, obviously, some clubs came in and I started to get some interest off the back of the World Cup. And I'm lucky enough to Northampton and the Pirates, had reached an agreement, and I'm now at Northampton, which is
perfect. So how long have you been there for now? Obviously, the season's been kind of cut short with this whole lockdown.
So I played just before Christmas. I was there, so I think start of December that I sort of signed.
And how long is the contract for?
So this year and next year.
Perfect. So you got obviously next season as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, good timing. What we're going to do is just a little game, a little teammates game. Obviously, you're at Northampton at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a couple of words, describing words. I want you to give me the player who matches it best from Northampton.
Yeah, no worries.
Right, perfect. So who's the best technically gifted player? Like naturally gifted.
I'm gonna say Dan Bigger.
Dan Bigger. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the quickest? If you got a Usain Bolt, who are you gonna line up against him?
Tom Collins.
Tom Collins, quick.
Yeah, he's fast.
Who's the most aggressive?
Tiamana Harrison.
Okay, bit of a beast.
Yeah, beast.
No worries. Who's the best value on a night out?
I'm going to say Lewis Bean is a bit of a star, but Paul Hill is also, he's up there.
For what reason?
Paul Hill's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He's like, I don't know, he's 24. He looks 54, and he's got his he's very immature banter, but he's funny.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the next one was funniest. I mean, you're going to give him that title as well?
100%, yeah. 100% Paul Hill, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, mate, they're the questions we've got. I mean, the next thing I was going to talk about, obviously, in terms of rugby, there was a big scandal. I say scandal. I mean, it was a scandal, really, with this whole Saracens wage cap debacle. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not sure how much you can shed your opinion on it, but I mean, obviously, what it comes down to, obviously, what I've read into it is that the owner obviously was paying players through their kind of companies to cover up a kind of like salary to pay them extra. I mean, what are your thoughts on it all?
I think overall they were cheating, which you can do. And I think it's especially in the times it was. It's very harsh on Exeter, the teams that are up there, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
But I think it's so tough. I know. It's just my opinion. My opinion only. I think I can remember when someone said to me, Owen Farrell, when 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when he was in the academy, Owen Farrell was on 15 grand. He's on a lot less money than he is now.
Yeah.
Because if you're in the academy, when Owen Farrell first won the Saracens, he wasn't on £500,000, was he?
No.
No. And I think how much can you, all your top talent, that you bring through from 17 to 20 for 10 years at a club, you put so much time and effort into.
Yeah.
I think that's why it goes up. That's why if you want to keep your best players, you've got to pay them the most. And I'm not. What they did was wrong, but I think it's the same at Northampton, the same at Exeter. It would be horrible for Exeter to lose like a Jack Noel or Karen Dickey or Slade, because they brought them through from the academy, so they're homegrown. They're from Exeter. They're Devon toughest boys.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people need to, that they have cheated, but they have looked after their own.
Yeah,
time,
so I mean, I think they've the RFU have said that they understand that some of it wasn't intentional. Like you said, they kind of had the best interest of their players at heart, but they went about it the wrong way.
And I'm not, I'm not backing them 100%. They were wrong and they cheated, and I think they're paying the ultimate price. But I think on the other side of it, you have to look at as well that it's tough. I think you'll find now after the the coronavirus, if rugby gets back when it gets back, it's going to be tough, and some players are going to lose jobs and etc. Like everyone else. Yeah. If that makes sense. And
I mean, obviously in January it was announced they were going to get relegated. I mean, in my opinion, obviously football's my main sport, so it's basically like Man City being relegated to the Championship. Like, that was massive news in rugby, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and I think it was massive. But I give it, like, it's tough being a player as well, because I don't know, at the time, like before, there's so much going on that even though what's going on with them, they're still a great team. And they're still very, very good, and they're still going to play week in, week out. I think if you look at the games, people that are at the bottom currently and at the time they got relegated, teams are playing a lot more freely now, which is, it's nice to see, but that's only because that security of Saracens are already going down.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what do you reckon? Obviously, like you mentioned there, like Farrell, for example, like you got the Vunipolas there as well. I mean, do you think they're going to stay and play Championship level? Because that would be crazy.
Yeah, I think they'll stay. I think there's a lot more. 100%. I think they'll stay. Yeah.
That would be great. I mean, but surely from like you look at England point of view, right? Eddie Jones, obviously, he's got to play his best players, but surely it's not going to be the best for their kind of progression if they're playing against, no disrespect to Championship teams, it's not the same level as the Premiership.
No, of course. But then I think if you look at it overall, so obviously this year is going to be quite weird anyway. But at the back of this year's Lions tour. Yeah. Does that make sense? In 2021, So the Lions are playing. Now, Owen Farrell, if everyone was fit, it was an ideal world. You'd probably say Owen Farrell, Elliot Daly, both Vunipolas, George Cruz, Itoje, Jamie George. That's 7 people. They could be well rested with a year in the Championship.
Yeah, it's true.
Going into a massive tour at Lions. But then, like you said as well, they're also not going to be ready to play against. No, this is no respect. If you play Richmond at the end of the season, then you play South Africa. There's a big difference.
Miles apart. Yeah.
So it's tough. I'm not too sure how they're going to work, but I think personally, Saracens will keep I think they'll keep Farrell, Itoje, the Vunipola. I think they will stay.
Okay.
But I think something else will happen in the meantime, if that makes sense. I think Saracens will play against like Southern Hemisphere teams, and
they said about having like friendlies against big teams to kind of keep their best players match fit.
Yeah, I think that's what will happen. I'm not 100% sure.
It'd be an interesting year though. Next year for rugby is definitely a big one.
Yeah, 100%.
Perfect. Right. Moving on quickly. I've got some questions for some people. Obviously, I sent out a little poll with some questions to ask you. So I'm just going to run through a few of them quickly. Someone has asked, what is your, if you can find one, what was your favourite rugby moment of your career so far?
Beating France in France.
Perfect. Worst rugby moment so far?
Probably the Uruguay game at the World Cup.
Just a kind of the feeling afterwards?
Yeah,
Okay. Who do you support in rugby?
I support teams that I have friends in.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Josh plays at Bath. Joel's at Newcastle.
Yeah.
I have some friends at Exeter. Some friends here. Obviously, I support Camborne. I've got a lot of friends at Madrid, so I support them.
Yeah.
I'd probably say Camborne is the team I support.
The homegrown club. Someone's asked. We've been in lockdown. I mean, obviously, in terms of food, what's the favourite takeaway choice? What's your go-to takeaway?
Oh, interesting. During the whole lockdown, I've had one takeaway.
What was it?
And that was the Shack in Perranporth.
Okay.
Is it the Shack? Yeah,
I think so. The little burger place, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Mate, burgers are unreal.
They're so good.
So good.
I had a fried chicken burger, loaded fries with some pulled pork.
Yeah.
And some garlic mushrooms. Unbelievable.
Nice. Mate, it's like 5 foot by 10 foot, but the produce is world class. Got a very controversial one. Pineapple on a pizza, yes or no?
Absolutely no.
Are you joking?
Terrible.
No way, mate.
No.
Mate.
It's like having fruit in a salad. No,
it's not. Hawaiian pizza is world class.
No, not for me.
Fine, we'll agree to disagree. Favorite movie?
Ooh, favorite Rush Hour.
Rush Hour, okay. Yeah, good choice. And you can either current or previous favorite kind of music. Like, who's your favorite artist at the moment?
I like my country. Current, I've listened to a lot of country. Zach Brown, the Zach Brown band.
Cool.
But my favorite all-time song is Paul Simon's "You Can Call Me Out."
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Belter. Is that your karaoke song?
Yeah, it is. Yes, that's my
karaoke number. All right, moving on. I mean, just talking about a couple of random things. Obviously, like I said, we're locked up indoors. Have you been watching much Netflix, much TV?
I have, yes.
What have you been binging?
I have what's the Michael Jordan one? What's it?
There's the documentary about him.
That is unbelievable.
Is it?
Yeah, it's so good. Previous to that, I'm a big fan of. I love Power. Big fan of Power.
Yeah, good series. It's a good series.
And then what else have you been watching? I'll have a quick look, quickly. Sorry.
That's all right.
Come on, Netflix, and I'll tell you. Homeland,
yeah, good series.
I also love 24. That's my go-to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big Jack Bauer fan.
That. Yeah, he says it's good. I've never seen it, but he says it's good. Okay. In terms of, we'll go back to what you mentioned at the beginning. You've obviously got the Navy is been a big part of your life. I mean, in terms of, obviously different now, you're in lockdown. When you're playing rugby and you're doing Navy on the side, what's your kind of day-to-day Navy life like? Like, what kind of stuff are you doing?
I've been very lucky recently that when, like, if you sort of get to like a Premiership international level, that you do a lot less work, and you're more of a how do you say? You're more of an asset for the Navy, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So if I'm honest, if you're young or you're a bit older and you're looking for a career, it's definitely an unbelievable choice. And I'm not just saying that. I've joined the Navy, and I think if I wasn't playing rugby or playing at a level, I'd quite happily be on ship, and having the chance to travel. Experience, different things.
They give you so many. Obviously, my sister's in the Navy, so they give they give you so many opportunities to she obviously plays netball, so she's playing netball a lot of the time. But they just give you so many opportunities to kind of build your career around your interests as well as working.
I know, 100%. And you meet so many people, you go to so many different places, and I think, I think it's. How do I explain? So, I explain it in the rugby team with the Navy. You have obviously Marines and people in the Navy.
Yeah.
And you've got people that have been to Afghan with the Marines numerous times, and you've got people that are PTs, Royal Navy Police. So many different sort of people come together.
Yeah.
And I think just being part of the Navy and the history, obviously the history and what it stands for is unbelievable, if I'm honest.
What are those sporting outings like? Obviously, for the Navy, you represent the Navy when you play. You do the inter-services games.
It's unbelievable. I think so. We had Matt Jess come and help coach. Come and do a session with us last year. Matt Jess once played every minute of a Premiership game, of a Premiership season for Exeter.
Okay.
On the wing, and he was like, I've done that. He's played, at a great level in the Prem consistently.
Yeah.
But he never got a chance to bear Twickenham in front of 80,000 people, and we do that every year.
It's mental, isn't it? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know we spoke about it before. You had a controversial game in 2018, wasn't it?
Yeah, got a red card. Obviously, made a bit of history in the wrong way. First was to get red card. It was tough. I think, it was my second game, and like sort of second Army Navy game, and it was like, we want to make a statement. We don't want to back down from them. Like, we were the smaller team in terms of size, but we said from the start.
Army are favourites, aren't they, in most of the sport?
Yeah, no, they are, and I think that they got more people, if I'm honest, and I think their sport they have more people, which gives them their soldiers, and that gives them more chance to. Yeah,
they've got a broader people selection to pick from, haven't they?
Yeah, and they can play. So if you've got more people, you don't need So people that are good at sports can play more sports. If that makes sense, which obviously helps them a lot. So all week we were like, we're going to get in their face and this and that. Being a forward and trying to carry that through.
Yeah,
I got a bit overexcited, if that makes sense, and I sort of got a red card, and then I came into work a few weeks later, and I was walked into work, everyone had a red card around, showing me a red card, and
they didn't let you sit down.
Literally, people still like, if I go into work at Cold Road, people will still like ask me about it now.
Really?
Like 2 years on, promise.
Not ideal. It's not ideal, is it?
No, not great. Not great at all.
Because I think it was meant to be a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? This one, but obviously the situation.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to be in like 4 days' time.
Yeah, but obviously it's been postponed and stuff. That's a bit of a bummer. Were you due to play in that?
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, not many people get a chance to bet Twickenham. I don't think people get to Twickenham in front of 82,000 people.
It's so good that it sells out and stuff.
It's absolute. It's magic, and I think you ask anyone that is part of it. You're sort of if you're at a unit or you're at shore base or you're on ship, you're sort of the famous person for the day, if that makes sense. And I think the people that go and do these incredible things for our country, they get the chance to play at Twickenham.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. I mean, it's an amazing thing they do, obviously annually, and I think to get the support they do as well is.
So have you been? Have you been to one?
I haven't been to one. No. I mean, obviously, I think Kiani, my sister, mentioned about going to one. We might have thought about going to this one, but obviously it can't happen. Definitely next year, I'm well keen to go.
Honestly, you'd love it. You'd honestly love it. Unbelievable.
So keen.
Unbelievable.
Go on.
So behind me in lockdown.
Right.
This is local art. Yeah. So this is a big shout out to the Cornish BreezeArt and Chloe Powell.
Okay.
So she's doing art at the minute, and as you can see this lovely piece behind me. So if you are listening, you want some art, check it out because they are incredible. And I think just a quick one where I think it's good if we can support our local businesses, wherever we are. If we're in Cornwall or we're in Northampton or wherever.
Definitely, I'll leave a link to Chloe's Instagram in the video description. Obviously, go check her out. Me and my family know her as well, so go check her out. That'd be brilliant. But yeah, like I said, I've introduced a new segment. Called the pressure. It's called the pressure point. So I'm going to run a little clip there.
Yeah.
All you do, mate, literally, it's a very simple concept. What I'm doing, I'm getting like a leaderboard, and all you have to do, very simply, is drink that pint of water in as fast as time as possible. And what I'm going to do is we'll go on a leaderboard, and whoever in the first 10 episodes, at the end of the 10th episode, whoever's top of the board is going to get a pint glass with the Reality Check podcast logo engraved on it. It's going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity to win. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press go, but you've got, after you finish the pint, you've got to say stop, and then I'll stop the timer, all right?
Okay.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Stop.
Ooh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. 8.93. Mate, it's harder than it looks, isn't it?
100%.
Harder than it looks. Perfect, mate. Look, that's all we need to talk about. You've been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for coming on.
Top man. All the best. Lovely to see you.
If everyone can like, share, and subscribe to the video, it'd be awesome. All right, thanks, mate.
Cheers, man. Take it easy.